There's a version of you that's already had this conversation. Not once. Hundreds of times. In the shower. On the drive home. Lying awake at 2 a.m. Staring at the ceiling. Rehearsing a sentence you've never said out loud. And the real you still hasn't said a word. That's the part nobody warns you about. You think the hardest part of being closeted is staying silent. It isn't. The hardest part is talking to people who aren't even in the room. Psychologists have a name for what's happening in your head right now. It's called hypervigilance. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels like being prepared. Like you're just careful, thoughtful, a few steps ahead. But underneath it, your nervous system is doing something exhausting. Scanning every room before you walk into it. Predicting every reaction before anyone reacts. Rehearsing every rejection before it ever gets the chance to happen. Not because you're dramatic, because somewhere along the way honesty started to feel dangerous. And uncertainty is exhausting when danger is even a possibility. So the conversation never starts. But it never really ends either. It just goes quiet and keeps running in the background for years. Here's the strange part. These imaginary conversations almost never picture perfect acceptance. They picture negotiation, explaining, defending, clarifying, proving. Like existing requires a presentation instead of just a conversation. That's not overthinking. That's survival. Once honesty has felt unsafe even one time, your brain files every future confession under crisis. Nothing gets said casually anymore. Every sentence gets edited before it's allowed outside your mouth. And slowly, without noticing, you stop asking yourself, how do I feel? You start asking, what's the safest version of what I feel? That shift is more dangerous than it sounds. Because once safety matters more than honesty, your identity quietly turns into a performance. Not a fake one. An edited one. Fake people build a life they don't believe in. Edited people just hide the parts of their real life they wish they didn't have to explain. Think about how much energy that actually takes. The constant monitoring. The joke you almost told, then didn't. The story you told with 3 details missing. The pronoun you swapped out mid-sentence without even thinking about it anymore. The topic you changed before anyone even noticed you changed it. Nobody sees that labor. That's what makes it so heavy. It's invisible work, every single day, and you don't even get credit for how tired it makes you. Because attention is limited. Every ounce spent protecting yourself is an ounce you don't get back for actually living. Over time, rehearsing conversations turns into rehearsing entire personalities. One version for your parents. One for your coworkers. One for the friend you almost told last year and chickened out. The world calls that being adaptable. Your nervous system calls it survival mode. Those are not the same thing. Here's where it gets even more complicated. Say you're at dinner, and someone asks the most ordinary question in the world. So, are you seeing anyone? For most people, that's small talk. For you, it's a maze. Do I lie? Deflect? Use a name that isn't true? Say it's complicated for the 100th time? It's 4 words. And somehow it costs you more than anyone at that table will ever know. Now stretch that same feeling across your whole life. Social media promised freedom of expression. But you still calculate every post. Every photo. Every comment. Every like. Wondering who might connect the dots you didn't mean to leave. Then there's dating apps. Supposedly the most honest space that exists. Profiles, labels, preferences, all laid out in public. But for you, Every profile is another silent rehearsal. Do I say it? Hide it? Wait? Explain? One swipe stops being about attraction. It becomes exposure. Some people are scared of being rejected. You're scared of being discovered by the wrong person before you're ready to be known by the right one. That's a completely different kind of fear, and almost nobody talks about it. Eventually, the rehearsals stop feeling like a choice. They become automatic. Your brain stops asking, "Is there danger here?" It just assumes there is. Always. By default. That's what hypervigilance actually looks like from the inside. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, efficient, constant. From the outside, you look completely calm. Inside, there are 10 different futures playing out at once, and every single one ends differently. No wonder you're exhausted before the real conversation even starts. Here's the part that might surprise you. Rehearsing the conversation isn't actually about wanting to have it. Sometimes it's the opposite. The rehearsal replaces the conversation. For a few minutes, imagining it gives you a hit of control that real life can't offer. The script feels safer than reality. So you run it again tomorrow, and next week, and next month. It becomes a draft you rewrite forever and never send. Like an email you've edited 200 times, still sitting unsent in your outbox. That's the trap. Preparation starts as protection. But somewhere along the way, protection turns into a cage. Your mind starts mistaking avoidance for safety. And every conversation you avoid quietly teaches your nervous system the same lesson. If I don't speak, I survive. That lesson works. Until surviving starts to feel smaller than actually living. Picture someone. Could be you, could be someone you know. Still rehearsing at 27 the exact same sentence they first wrote in their head at 16. 11 years. Same sentence. Never spoken. That's not weakness. That's just how long it takes when the cost of being misunderstood feels heavier than the cost of staying invisible. And here's the part that hurts the most, if you're honest with yourself. You can be surrounded by people who like you, who laugh with you, who text you back, who show up for your birthday, and still feel like nobody in that room actually knows you. Being liked isn't the same as being known. Being included isn't the same as being safe. That gap only gets wider the longer the real conversation stays locked inside your head. The longer you rehearse it, the bigger it gets. Every imagined reaction stacks on top of the last one, until the conversation in your head is enormous, way bigger than any real conversation could ever actually be. Which is why, when acceptance finally does come, it can feel almost confusing. Your nervous system braced for a disaster that never showed up. Relief doesn't always arrive right away. Sometimes safety itself feels unfamiliar because you were never given the chance to practice it. That's not weakness either. That's just what happens when you've spent years preparing for the worst. Your mind doesn't let go of that habit overnight. Here's the truth underneath all of this. The conversations you never had still shape your life. They shape the friendships that never got to go deeper. The relationships that never quite started. Silence can define a life just as much as words do. Maybe more, because a real conversation eventually ends. An imagined one just replays, revises, comes back tomorrow night right on schedule. The most important question was never why do closeted people rehearse conversations that never happen. It's why does it feel like they have to be perfect before they're allowed to happen at all? Not perfect timing, not perfect wording, not perfect safety. Perfection never actually shows up. That's the cruel part. So the script stays unfinished. But underneath every unsent version of it, there's the same quiet hope. Not to be admired, not to be analyzed, just to reach the day when saying it out loud feels less frightening than rehearsing it in silence one more time. Because in the end, this was never about needing the perfect explanation. It's about needing rest. The kind that finally comes when your mind stops preparing every night for a conversation your heart has been carrying alone.